Welcome back to Perkins Pipes. Ooh, we got a fun episode for you here today, and a fun pipe to go with it. The purple pipe that I made, I guess back, what was this, 2024? I don't know. 2024, I think. Had some comments on that. Some people seem to really like the color of this guy, and I enjoy him. He's fun. And boy, we got a fun topic for you today. As always, let's get this guy lit. Let's get to talking. You know, we get on some pretty deep topics on this channel, and that's great. I love talking about poetry and philosophy and theology and all that stuff. But sometimes I just want to talk about something crazy fun, and this is a guilty pleasure of mine. And I am going to want to know, at the end of this video, how many of you are like me and enjoy a good infomercial. Talk about a fun and really just cheesy topic. Back in the day, and I don't even know there really are infomercials anymore, the way there used to be. But these would be these half-hour long, informative commercials. They weren't just like, your little blurb, two or three of them on a commercial break in a TV show. There's a full half-hour length thing. And I have three that I have just loved over the years. So much so that in one case I bought the product. One of them didn't really care about the product, but just enjoyed the commercial. Another one, I really wanted to buy the product and just never did because I never could convince myself I had a use for it. Well, all three I found on YouTube, and you better believe they're going to be linked in the notes below. Let's start off with my all-time favorite. I'm going to call it right up here now so I can see it again myself. Alluring. First question. Does anybody remember the commercial for Alluring? Alluring were these rods of this aluminum alloy, and this was a simple propane torch. You could get it to where it would melt, and then you could do anything with alluring. As the commercial showed you, you could repair the blade maybe on your propeller for your boat. I don't have a boat, didn't need to do that. You can fill in holes, you can sand it, you could grind it, you could tap it so that you could screw things into it. I didn't need to do any of that. There was this woman's voice who narrated, somewhat soothing as I recall, and it seemed like this was a late night kind of a thing that would come on. My wife and I'd be watching something, and Alluring would come on. I'm like, oh, we got to watch that. And my wife's like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm not watching that Alluring commercial again. I'm like, yes, we've got to watch it. And I don't know. It was certainly a low budget sort of deal. And they just kind of kept repeating all the things you could do. And they would show you what it could do, and then they would run a list of all the things it could do. And then it would show you another example, and it would run the list, and they would tell you how much it cost. And then they would show you some more, and they'd run the list, and they would tell you how much it would cost. Really wasn't a whole lot to it. But for some reason, I found that intriguing. And whatever the price was, I don't remember now. I'd have to go back and watch the commercial again. But whatever the price was, I thought, ooh, that's a steal. You can get all these rods of alluring, and then you can repair anything, even though I had nothing. I don't think I've ever had anything that I would have needed Alluring 4. But boy, I like that commercial. So, do you know Alluring? Do you remember that commercial? Were you ever as intrigued with it as I was? And did you ever purchase any Alluring? If you did, I'd love to know how it worked. Did it really work the way they said it did? The next one, and this one I did purchase. Now, I didn't purchase it from the TV, call-in. I'm sure there was a call-in number or something. But it was Flex Seal. And this is the one you may remember. The guy cuts a hole in the bottom of a boat. Puts in a screen door. Coats the screen door with Flex Seal. Then he goes out in the lake, he rows out there, and he doesn't sink. So it shows how well Flex Seal can seal anything. Gutters, hole in your boat, whatever. Now, I started to say there used to be, in fact, I think there still is. There's one of these outlet malls. In fact, I know the outlet mall is still there. There's an outlet mall in Edinburgh, Indiana. And we'd pass through there on occasion visiting family, and, we'd sometimes stop in. And the problem with an outlet mall is I've always had this mistaken notion that I should be able to get something for like next to nothing at an outlet mall. And that's just not true. Right? You go into the Nike outlet or whatever, and to me it seems like pretty much regular prices. So I'm not quite sure what the advantage is to go into the outlet mall. Well, this particular outlet mall, they had a hardware store. And they had a lot of the as seen on TV products. So one time we were there, my wife and daughter messing around, and my son and I, we ended up going into the hardware store. And they did have some decent stuff, clamps and this, that, and the other thing, reasonably cheap. And then I saw they had a can of Flex Seal. Now at that time, we did have a laser, our gutters were kind of come together at a right angle, okay? Well, that seam had gotten weak, and so I thought, you know what? However much it was, $7, $9, whatever. I thought, it's worth it to try it out and see. So, I got it. Well, friends, that stuff worked. It worked. Now, over time, that got, I needed to replace my gutters, which eventually I did. But, and then we got the gutter guards on there, so I don't have to go up there and clean out all the leaves and all that jazz. You can see the trees around here. We get a lot of leaves in the gutters. Don't have to do that anymore. But back then, I had to get up there periodically to clean out the leaves, and I would see that maybe started to separate again, hit it with another spray of Flex Seal, and I was good to go. I mean, it lasted for a long time. Like I say, I did that 2 or 3 times. So, Flex Seal worked. Love the commercial, especially the guy cutting the hole in the boat. I mean, who's not going to enjoy that? So, next question. Do you remember Flex Seal? Do you remember that commercial? What did you think of that commercial? And did you ever get the Flex Seal? If so, how did that work out for you? And the last one is one from inventor extraordinaire Ron Popeil. And you may remember his company, Ronco. There are all kinds of Ronco products back in the, 70s and 80s, as I recall it. And they'd always be available at your, Walgreens, Super X, Woolworths, and wherever fine products are sold. That kind of stuff. But it's the rotisserie thing he had. Some rotisserie machine. And you took, and again, I'm going to link to this. You can watch it for yourself. Maybe bring back a memory. You take a chicken, or anything you want, you had a couple of metal plates, one on each end, and then you stuck this into the machine, and he had a tagline, and he would do this with a live studio audience. And so whenever he would say the tagline, the whole studio audience would chant it in response. Set it and forget it. That was the whole idea. You put your meat in there, set it or whatever you wanted, and then forget it. You didn't have to tend it. You didn't have to watch over it. Right, when it was done, I guess, I can't remember, I have to look at the commercial again. It would beep or do something for you, let you know that it was done and it was perfect, right? The chicken was golden brown and it was juicy and it was flavorful and had the look and the taste and everything that you wanted. And all you had to do was set it and forget it. So, next question, but not the last one. Do you remember Ron Popeil? Do you remember Ronco products? Specifically, do you remember this rotisserie machine that had the tagline, set it and forget it? Now, I say this is a silly topic, but I want to get serious for just a moment. Why did I like those infomercials so much? Now, if you're somebody who doesn't, and you saw an infomercial come on, you're like, well, that's my cue to get up and go to the kitchen and, get a snack, then you're not going to understand. You're going to say, well, Steve, the reason you liked it is because you're nuts. But if you were ever intrigued by those commercials, help me out here. Why did we enjoy those? I think is because they were cheesy, funny. I guess it gave us the thought that, whatever's being advertised, I could do that, I don't know. I guess it takes us back to the days. It takes us back to the days of the old carnival markers and people who would sell them. And this goes way back, right? Early days of our country, even. And traveling salesmen go around. Here's a bottle of tonic that'll cure what ails you, right? It's in the same vein as all that stuff. And now I wasn't really suckered in by it. I mean, like I said, the only thing I bought was Flex Seal, and it did work. But I sure enjoyed those commercials. Folks, I'd love to hear your comments. As Malcolm Guite likes to say, I do these little things in order at last to do nothing. Or as I say in Latin, Parva ut tandem, nihil agam. Have a wonderful day.